Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our Wednesday Namaste deep dive into grace. A deep dive into grace. Wow. Could there be anything more powerful, more satisfying than a deep dive into grace? I think when we experience that, when we are in that state, that light, we realize that there's nothing in this world that could ever truly satisfy us. There's nothing that we have made that could transcend what has been made for us and is held safe for us forever. We just heard the song, "The peace of God is shining in me now." It's shining in me. The light of God is shining in me now. The grace of God is shining in me now. It's all the same thing. It's all the same light. And it's shining there right now. All we really need to do is to allow, to admit, and to not impede that shine as it leaves and extends from us to everyone that we meet. That's where it usually gets lost, is when we feel even that great light within us and we hold on to it as if it's something only for us, instead of realizing that I'm here but to extend, I'm here but to give this away, to reflect that light. I've often said that the only real goal of a guru is to spell the word, G, you are you. To show you who you are, not to shine the light on me and say what a great teacher or a great bright light I am, but to shine it out, to extend that light through love to everyone that I meet. That's my only role, and it's the only thing that is ever going to satisfy me. And we really need to get that. I mean, that's not just a concept. That is the truth. The only thing that is ever going to satisfy me is the extension of that light. Why? Because that's what God does. And I am only satisfied when I act as God, and when I am as God, because then I realize that I am one with God. If I try to block that light or claim that light for myself in any way, it's ultimately just going to stop. But when I realize that my only job, my only role is to extend that same light, that same I, as Joel Goldsmith is going to say today, to extend that I, or the experience of the oneness of God, the oneness that we share. Now, you've heard me talk a lot and write a lot about the I am that presence, the story of Moses at the burning bush, and this fiery bush saying, "I am that." And then right after that saying, "I am." And we've talked about how important it is for us to claim whatever is happening, to say, "I am that, I am that." But we're going to go to a different, even I think higher and much more important space today. Because as we've said, it's really always a reduction. It's always a falling back into a single point of light, beginning with the experience of I am that, which is always the movement of I. It's a movement in identifying itself as something. If I look at Baraka and say, I am that, then it is the I moving forward to identify itself as one with Baraka or Janet or Paul or anyone else. But if I take the that off it and I just focus on the I am, then I am experiencing the movement of the I, or that single presence. There's a movement there outward, extending. But what Joel Goldsmith is going to show us today is that Within only the experience of I, there is no movement, there is only grace. Within the experience of that single I can all things be felt and known. So this morning I was looking through this beautiful book by Joel Goldsmith. What's it called? Hold on one second. I can't get my phone to work. Okay, I'll just tell you later. Let me just read this to you. Just take this in. Just don't try to understand this with your mind. That's where we so often go wrong. We analyze, we try to figure it out. What's he saying here? You'd be better off just holding still and let this wash over you like waves. Here we go. When we have seen the universal nature of God as I, as the I of every individual and the I of every cat, dog, bird, beast, and lion and lamb that will lie down together, the human lion, the lamb, as well as the animal. When I have experienced that I in all things, that single reality, when we recognize I as universal being, there's no movement within that. There's only the single awareness. It's not like I'm trying to accomplish or get anything. I'm not identifying anything outside the experience of I. When we recognize I as universal being, infinite being, we will make friends with our enemy, not by overcoming them, but by recognizing that I, in the midst of the enemy, that I am I in the midst of each one of us, and we are one. Once again, even as I'm reading this and I feel myself trying to understand it, I feel kind of lost because it's the mind that's trying to understand this and try and grasp this intellectually that is the issue. Because the mind, that split mind that is trying to grasp this and understand it intellectually, is the very block to the experience. So once again, don't try to get this. Let it get you. Just drink it in as if it's the finest glass of wine, knowing that this is not a metaphor. What Joel is expressing here is the highest pinnacle of this mountain, the single I. There's nothing more than that. And for us to merge and to melt and to dissolve into that I. A little bit more. There is only one I. The selfhood of God is the selfhood of you and the selfhood, the self-identified of you, of all of us. If I give to you, I'm only giving really to myself. If you give to me, you're really only giving to yourself. It's like transferring money from your right pocket to your left. It does really turn out that way once you begin to understand the I, which is God, knocking at the door of your consciousness. The I, which is God, knocking at the door of your consciousness. Do you feel that now? Do you feel that gentle knocking? It's very gentle, it's very quiet. The ego is also always knocking, but it's much louder. It's much more demanding and obnoxious, as Baraka said. It's true. But that single I, which is fully confident in your ability and your ultimate victory in accepting, fully confident, knocks softly, calls softly, because it's sure of your ultimate success. The reason why the ego voice is so loud and obnoxious is because it doubts its ultimate success, because its ultimate success is very much in doubt. Do you see that? The ego must be loud because it has to distract you from that still, quiet voice or that quiet, gentle knocking at the door of your consciousness. And you'll feel it. You don't hear it with your ears, but you feel it. And I know that each one of us is feeling that in one way or another. Even hearing this, you probably can sense something. That gentle voice, that gentle knocking at the door of your heart. And all you need to do is say yes. All you need to do is open without knowing what that means, without trying to figure it out. Just open and say, yes, I am here. For this reason, inasmuch as you have done this to the least of my brothers, you have done it to me, because I am the least of your brothers, and the least of these brothers am I. Whatever you have done to another, you have done unto yourself. And this should help explain the meaning of karma. The evil that you do to another is bound to come back to you. There's like an elastic band attached to it. And the stone that you throw has to come back. But the good that you do also has an elastic band. And the further and the harder you throw it, the sooner it comes back to you. So, when we realize that anything I give, I'm only giving to me. Anything I seem to be giving to you is really a gift to myself. When I really truly realize that, not just intellectually, but I have a deep experience of that, why would I give anything other than goodness? Why would I share anything other than love? Now, we are human beings, at least we seem to be, and we forget this lesson. And we find ourselves gossiping or thinking poorly of one another or even saying things to each other that we regret. That happens. And that's okay. The key now at this stage is just to be aware of when we do that and make another choice. A couple of weeks ago, we officially made Namaste, I'm saying this just to remind all of you, a no gossip zone. A no gossip zone. Why? Because it's so easy in a tight community like this to gossip, to talk about things and people and wonder about this with one person. All we're really trying to do is strengthen what we already believe, strengthen our position. But if we catch ourselves doing that and then just return to that I that Joel Goldsmith is talking about, then I'll have no need to talk about anyone else. My only need will be to extend love to them. My only desire will be to give them everything, because I realize that anything I give to thee is received by me. That's that elastic band effect. Now, we think this intellectually, we even believe it intellectually, but now we're at the point of coming into the experience of it. And when you're in the experience of that, you won't even dream of giving anything to anyone else other than love. That's all Joel's talking about here. That single I that has no movement. Remember, the I am that has movement into a particular object. I am is that I, that presence of I in movement. But the single point of consciousness called I, which is God, which is you, holds still within that light and that glory and that peace that surpasses understanding. Let's take a deep breath before Vicky comes on and see if we can sense that gentle knocking. See if we can hear that still, quiet voice that is calling to us every moment. If we would but have ears to hear. We know that we're hearing that voice because it brings ecstatic joy. It brings a sense of peace that this world could never understand. So once again, see if you can touch and sense gentle knocking upon your heart. And so now I'm going to turn it over to Victoria and ask you to share that gentle knocking upon your heart. Good morning, Vicki. Oh, you're muted, honey.
Yeah. Good morning, James Francis. And good morning, everyone. I have sound okay? Yeah. Yep.
Yes, go right ahead, hon.
This is wonderful. I have a couple of very perfect aligning thoughts with it. The first is thank you that our lives become no gossip zones. Our lives. So yesterday we had a nice experience. Lana, who's a very dear sister and friend of us, and many of you know her on her different Facebook things, came to visit. And it's natural when you visit that you share information about your other family and friends. But what I noticed as you spoke this just now is that the most natural thing to share was each other's breakthroughs and strengths. And right, Teddy, when we were talking with whatever who we were sharing about, it was recognizing their strengths. And I think that's what comes effortlessly and naturally when we're used to focusing on the light in one another. So the other thing is she is putting together a book in collaboration with Jesus. She writes quite prolifically also, but this particular book, Jesus is guiding her to focus only on the light. Never mind, he says, don't worry about the ego and the darkness and the process. Stay with the light. So she's doing a book that's just that. But
she's an artist.
She's an artist too, and she's doing incredible artwork with it. But the application of Joel's message and the message of our own awakening really comes down to I love you. It is just a way of saying I love you to everyone, no matter what the conversation, no matter what she was saying, oh yeah, someone will be saying this or that. And she says, well, I can never enter into those conversations. So I just sit back and say, and in my mind, I love you. That's it. But I want to share a specific little prayer that came to JeanPierre, who is also sometimes here and on our Step into Heaven call in the afternoon. And JeanPierre gave this that he was given in collaboration with his own inner guide. And it's called the New Ho'oponopono. And I use it often when I get tempted to get upset about someone or something. And this is the simple prayer that it is. But this too, like the no gossip life, is a way of life. And what happens is, you'll see as I say it, it becomes our natural response to everything when we identify and rest in the light of our own being. So he called it the New Ho'oponopono, which is, I see you, I welcome you, I love you, I rejoice, I am, you are, we are one. And it really, while we're here in time where there seems to be a brother beside us or a sister, it's a way of relating and joining in the light, and it's become very habitual in my mind. And he gave it to us a couple of years ago as, it's just the most natural way to see. And then you don't see each other's faults, you just see them as nothing. And accept our own faults as nothing. That's the only way to let them go easily. Otherwise, we set ourselves up for a crucifixion. Because whatever we focus on that might be negative is just an idol of thinking that is going to have to fall away, and we'll experience somewhere in ourselves, because what we give we receive, as a falling or a difficult thing. And this is not the time to put ourselves in jeopardy or in difficulties. This is the time to keep ourselves in the safety of God's love as our own being, and to focus on only that. And it is as simple as saying, I love you. And it doesn't have to be with brothers who have spiritual ideas. It can be with everyone in the world. Whatever the discussion is, we join in I love you. That's an activity that calls forth, it's an invitation. It may be silent. It's very often not spoken. But if that's our silent communion with our brothers all the time, then the dissident things just seem to start, they just fall away because we're not engaging them anymore. And if our brothers don't find something to engage with, then it dissipates. It's that simple.
Oh
So,
man, that's so beautiful, Vicky. It really is that simple. Tell us the Ho'oponopono one more time that JeanPierre did.
Ho'oponopono. And this is his guide that he gave him this very specifically. I see you. I welcome you. I love you. I rejoice. You are, I am. We are one.
That's beautiful.
Isn't it? JeanPierre. Thank you.
Thank you, Vicky. Teddy, what would you like to share?
You know, well, Jimmy, you know Rod Chelberg.
Of course,
So
we all do.
the first time I met him, he came and he just left me a few pieces of paper. And one was about a 3-paragraph thing from Joel Goldsmith. And when I read it, I immediately knew that Joel had had the experience that I had had, and there was nothing left to know. And basically, what it comes down to is outside of that experience, there is no understanding. When that occurs, you understand everything, and everything understands you, and there's really nothing left to do. And it was interesting because the idea, there is nothing left after that but to sort of extend it. And I think that's what, extend it or share it, and it's why in certain senses, it's like, in a sense, we talk about trying to tell people, let them know that I love them or I love you. But what we're really trying to say is we are that. We are what love is. And that's part of the experience that you have and the knowingness that comes from it that can't be understood without the experience. That's just the way it is. And the most we can do, the most I find we can do, is to increase somebody's desire to know in that way so that they could finally get to the point where they admit they have no idea and they don't know. And they're willing to hear and they're willing to have their mind opened up because you can't do this alone. That's all I know. But we are that. We are what love is. And the understanding comes with the experience. And once that occurs, there is no such thing as not understanding, because the not understanding is only of what's unreal and can't be understood anyway, because there's nothing there to understand. So it's just an interesting thing. And like I said, the most we can do is through our presence or through whatever we're doing is to allow the desire for the experience to increase to the point where the admission of not having it is overwhelming and the desire for it is there. And there it is.
There it is. Wow. Outside the experience, there is no understanding, because all we're really trying to do is to understand shadows, and shadows can't be understood as real because they are what they are. They're shadows. And if you're trying to understand shadows, shadow figures on a wall.
We try to understand nothing and we make nothing into something, and it's not. It's really nothing.
But within the experience, and this is why we talk about this every day, just to allow that still quiet voice to enter. You hear it knocking, open the door, allow it to enter, and then the experience explains and shares everything you could possibly need. Yes, go ahead, Vicky.
oh, I'm so excited about this because that may be true on the revelatory and mystical level, which it is. When that Jesus says, when it dawns on you who you are, nothing compares to it. But the way into that on a very simple practical level is just what you guys declared at Namaste, a no gossip zone, no gossip life. Yesterday, I realized just only now as you guys were speaking that the reason our visits with everyone, but yesterday specifically with Lana, escalated into celebration is because we only share the eternal with each other. It would never occur to Lana to gossip about someone or say a negative word. It just wouldn't. And then only sharing each other's strengths becomes a natural celebration. And that's what's happening at Namaste Village. You are becoming more and more a celebratory village of the light. And eliminating gossip is a major help. And it's like being catapulted right up into that level of continual escalating celebration. So I
Mm.
want to recognize it and
What they say in the strength, hope, and experiences. That's what
yeah.
we share. We share
Mm.
our strength, we share our hope, and we share our experience. That's it.
Mm.
There's nothing left except to abide and to share the strengths. And we're not used to knowing how to relate in time without the negativity and the drawing out of the negative stuff. We are getting used to a new way of life together in Christ, in light, where we abide and enjoy relaxing with one another, as well as when we speak to enjoy each other's strengths. So it's a big step. I
I
think.
love this. Yeah.
The only step.
Yeah.
I was gonna say that is the only step. Every step before that was just in our imagination. There's only really one step. That's into the truth that has always been true. Thank you, Vicky. Thank you, Teddy. Wow. Wow. There's nothing left to say, but just to be. Yeah. Tell us the Honoponopono
Okay.
one more time.
I see you. I welcome you. I love you. I rejoice. You are. I am. We are one.
Wow. Please let Jean-Pierre know that we just love that.
I will.
Thank you for sharing it. Okay, let's check in with our Namaste family first. Anyone here want to share anything? Raka, you want me to just turn the computer around? Sure. Take this. Okay, I'm going to turn the computer around to Baraka.
Thank you.
Just put you on speaker.
Hi there. This is an experience I've been having the last couple of nights. Tends to come when I'm in solitude. I don't have a lot of distractions around me. But in that way, I am able to reach out.
Can't hear him.
Yeah, you can't hear me? Oh, because the mic is this. Okay, there we go. Sorry, the mic is on the computer here. There we go. Thank you. My favorite metaphor for this whole thing that we're going through here is the movie theater. I am the projector. There's the screen. I have asked everything on that screen to be there for my learning. And the idea that I am the light that projects onto that screen, I can project it with fear, or I can project it with love. And by shining the light of love out to the screen, to all my brothers, all my mighty companions, what I get back is that same thing. It only reflects what I put out. And therefore, if I'm putting out love, I'm going to have love reflected back at me again. So thanks for coming to the movies with me. Appreciate it.
Another way of saying that would be that I'm only going to see and experience the movie that I put onto the projector. There's that big thing of film, and I'm going to put that on the projector, and that's what I'm going to see. And I have a choice in that. I can choose to see a horror film if I want, or I can choose to see a beautiful romantic film if I want. To realize that we always have the choice. And it's only going to be what we want to see. And we've come to the point where we want to see only the highest and greatest love. So let's put that on the projector and watch that movie. Thanks, Baraka. Anybody else here at Namaste want to share anything? Please come on up, Daphne. I'm going to have you sit here next to me. Here you go. Sit right here. Here you go. Here's Daphne.
Morning. Good morning, Namaste. As when you said about gossip, this is a no gossip zone, I remembered instantly a book that I had read of Caroline Myss's years ago. I don't remember the name of the book, but she spoke of all of the different chakras and their importance. And when she came to the throat, she said, this is your truth. And it's also where you feel gossip. So if you start to gossip, your spirit knows you're gossiping and call it back. Don't do that to your spirit. And I've just always pictured that right here, you know, call it back. Don't besmirch your spirit like that, because your spirit doesn't want that. And as Vicky was saying, and you were saying, do love instead, send out love. That, to me, that's such a good catch for myself. It's like when you have a dog and you can divert it to do something else. So if I'm going to say something that isn't kind, I suddenly think, oh, I don't want to do that. And I divert myself by doing love instead. So
Yeah. And to realize I'm only doing it to me.
yes.
I'm only gossiping about myself. I'm only hurting or talking bad about myself. Why would I do that? It gets to the point where it's like, I realize that now. Why would I continue to do that?
Yes.
So speak only of love.
Yes.
Say only loving things. Think only loving things, because it returns.
Yes.
It's that boomerang.
Yes, the rubber band. Send it out, bring it back. Thank you, James.
Thank you, Daphne. Let's switch over to the Zoom room and see if anybody there would like to share anything or put anything on the altar. If you have anything you'd like us to pray with you.
James, hi.
Yes, Judy, go right ahead.
Gossip. Oh my lordy, what a topic that is. For myself, I love a good story, and I really like to hear the ending. If I'm engaging with somebody in that kind of conversation, I'm not present. I'm not aware of that person really in front of me. I'm in my head. So for me, when I catch myself talking about someone with someone, no, I want to be present. I want to experience you right now, because this moment is what I have. And in this moment, I want grace, and I want grace to flow through me. And it is up to me to make my decision whether I want to follow that interesting story or go to grace. And we are all gathered here together, going to grace. I put that on the altar.
Yes. Thank you, Judy. Beautiful.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Anyone else want to share anything before we do our final prayer together?
James, it's Mary.
Hi, Mary.
Hi. Yeah, I would like to actually. So a few years ago, I was, talking to a woman friend on the phone. My husband was in the kitchen with me. He was getting ready to go to work, and I was about to tell her about our weekend. Something had happened between me and my husband and our son. And then I said, oh, just wait, he'll be gone in a minute. And so I waited till he left. And then I realized what I was about to do. And I started telling her what had happened. And then I caught myself because I realized that I was telling her a version that I would not have told in front of my husband. I was telling her the version where she was going to come out, supporting me.
Right.
And so I stopped and I said, wait a minute, Nance, I'm so sorry. I'm going to tell you this story now, but I'm going to pretend that Rob is right here with me. And I told her the story, and I have been gossip free ever since. So yeah, I just always imagine, would I say this if that person were sitting right here with me?
That's a good way to begin this, to realize that it's only me I'm talking about. And it's time to let that go. Speak only loving thoughts, and only love will return. Speak judgmental thoughts, and judgment will return. It's so simple. We just have to practice it. And maybe this is the call to each one of us now. Maybe this session has been all about that, not just for our Namaste family, but for all of us to realize that any gift I give to thee is received by me. And if I gossip about anyone else, if I say anything other than I love you, then the judgment is returning, and it's not what I really want. We're going to have one more, and that's, how do you say your name? Mylene? Oh, we can't hear you, dear.
Hi everyone, it's Milan.
Right.
Something I have a tendency to do, and I'm still learning. When somebody have an experience, when I ask a friend, "Hey, how was your day?" and I want to hear their strength and their breakthrough, I like that. Thank you, Vicky. They don't feel good. One in particular, you feel that. I don't know. So sometimes I just need to not ask because often they quote something of the Course of Miracle. And I said, but what did you learn today? Because we all know and we're continuing to learn about the Course of Miracle. But when I'm proud of me, I discover, oh, wow, I was more awake. I was more clear with a game I was playing. I just love to share that. And I just want to hear another person, hey, what did you learn? So I think it's a sharing, and also asking for prayer to accept where the person is and not pushing anything, because sometimes I try to push too much to just see the wonderful thing that we're learning about ourselves and light it up. We take ourselves so seriously. Me too. Yes, thank you.
Thank you, dear.